Welcome to another episode of Raven Conversations. I'm Joe Seamandel, State Public Affairs Officer for the Washington National Guard. And today we're helping our friends with the Joint Service Support Family Programs. And we're interviewing Mindi McMahan, who I've known Mindi for a very long time. We're probably going on 7 years now we've known each other.
Yeah, probably.
But she has been a volunteer Family Readiness Group Leader, correct?
Yes, FRG leader, yes.
FRG leader with Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 168th General Support Aviation, 14 years now?
Yes, 14 years.
So we're going to talk about volunteering and how you can become a volunteer to help in the Guard. Thanks for joining us, Mindi.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so real quick, kind of just brief background on yourself and your
I think you gave all the important stuff out there. I have been the Bravo Company FRG leader for 14 years, which we recently did a question and answer process, and I was confused and thought it had been 12. So you forget after all these years how long you've been doing it. But through that time, I have also supported a lot of the companies in 168 just because of the nature of our FRG having been so long-standing. So Darren McMahan, Sergeant First Class Darren McMahan, is my husband. And
shout out, Darren.
Now he's on TV, too. I'm sure he'll be thrilled by that. So that's 14 years ago. We moved here, and I decided to become involved in the FRG, and then I guess it just kind of stuck because here we are, still here.
Yeah, and you live a pretty busy lifestyle. I mean, both of you are full-time employees, yet you still find time to volunteer.
Yeah, so I was, for 12 of those 14 years, I was actually embedded active duty support with active duty aviation here on JBLM 16th Cab. So I had field time, I had long days, long nights, lots of travel. Darren, obviously, doing this, he has lots of travel. I can't say that it was always easy, but I found the time to do the volunteer work. And sometimes it was a lot of hours, but a lot of the time when we're in an off cycle, not in a deployment cycle, it's a minor amount of time that it takes to actually provide the support that we need.
So how did you find yourself volunteering as an FRG lead?
In the early 2000s, I had a very, very close friend. So most people, I think, traditionally come into this as the spouse or family member of a soldier. I was very close friends with an FRG leader back in Alaska in my hometown. And when her husband's unit deployed, I was helping her just based off of friendship support that unit. And I was able to see how important it was for that unit to have good information and a good support system in the rear while they were deployed at that time forward to Iraq. They had an 18-month, very long, tumultuous deployment, and the ladies back here really relied on each other. So when Darren and I moved here, and they didn't have an FRG leader and they kept asking for support, and I finally said, okay, let's see what this is all about. I could provide that support as well, and ended up becoming the FRG leader.
Yeah. So what does that look like? What are your kind of roles as an FRG leader?
It really depends on, one, how much time and energy you personally have to put into it, and two, what the unit's doing at that time. Obviously, when these guys deploy, there's a lot more work that goes into it. There's a lot more interaction with the families. There's a lot more interaction with the command. And there's more requirements that the Guard and the Army as a whole wants you to support to make sure that our families are connected. But when we're not in a deployment cycle, it looks a whole lot like planning parties. It looks like a Christmas party and a summer barbecue, and providing time for our families and our soldiers to come together in one place and really spend quality time together. Most Guard units, I think, feel like they are family. We are all doing the same things at the same time, but because we don't necessarily live in the same place, we don't get together and have that downtime. So the barbecue in the summer and the Christmas party are usually very well supported by the command, and that's what they want to see from their FRG.
Yeah, and aviation is such a tight-knit community in our state, and I think it probably helps in that regard that they're all very close already.
Yeah, so our folks, I know every unit's different, so I can really only speak for Bravo Company, but and maybe a little bit for Delta Company because I've helped them a lot too. But they want to get together. They want to create those relationships and see each other's kids grow up and be together. So it does help when you've got people that want to be there.
Yeah. So I think in any volunteering thing, there's always a little bit of, you're providing a resource, but there's probably something you get back. As an FRG lead, what do you kind of find with that?
I think that for me, the primary thing I get back is relationships. Darren and I moved here 14 or 15 years ago, and we didn't know anybody here. And when I became involved in the FRG, I was exposed. One of the funnest things, I think, is that you're exposed to people that you wouldn't be in your normal life. I work on computers for the military, so I have a very like-minded group of people that I spend all of my time with. But through the FRG, I've been introduced to nurses and chefs and airline workers, just people you wouldn't be exposed to, and then you get to create these beautiful friendships. 3 of the people that I am closest with here, I actually met through the FRG, and 2 of them aren't even part of the unit and haven't been for years at this point, but we have held on to those friendships that we created.
Yeah, and I think you hit it best with the friendship piece. I think that's how you probably met my wife. And
it is.
That's exactly,
yeah.
And then we became friends through that.
Yeah.
So if you've got spouses out there, or even, adult kids, parents that are like, hey, my son, my daughter, my husband, my brother, they're in the National Guard, and they always say, well, we need an FRG lead. How did they get involved? How did they start that?
So if you're looking specifically for an FRG leader, you could talk to the commander. You could reach out to me. I can help get you where you need to. Family programs at JSS. Any person, if you walked into that building and said, I have somebody who wants to be an FRG leader, it doesn't matter who you stumble on. They're going to get you to the right person. I'm going to show my age here and mess this up a little bit because we don't have FASs anymore, and I've forgotten their new acronym, so I apologize for that. But there's a set of people at JSS who are hired and paid to keep us all connected and trained and make sure our programs are supported and successful. And they are regionally throughout the state. So if you live in Spokane and you want to do this, we have a person in Spokane that can help set you up. So I kind of approach anybody in a uniform or approach anybody that is in any FRG and say you want to help, and we will get you signed up and to the appropriate party to make sure you get signed up.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Yes. So I think that it's important for people to realize 2 things. One, that volunteering doesn't mean 40 hours a week to try and handle all the things yourself. It doesn't have to. It can. I've certainly spent many hours doing it all on my own. That's a quick path to burnout. Mm-hmm. You need to rely on people and have support. And so if you're a person that belongs to, say, a large family or a church, and you're already used to hosting huge family gatherings with food, you already know how to do like a meal sign up, and it takes you probably 20 minutes. Yeah. That is a huge mental workload off of your FRG leader. So you don't have to be the person standing in the front of the room, organizing everything, making sure it's taken care of. You can be the person in the background spending that 20 minutes to make sure the FRG leader doesn't have to spend that 20 minutes. Or maybe it's not that FRG leader's expertise. Maybe they don't even know where to start. Mm-hmm. So try and expand your mindset to how can I help, and understanding it doesn't have to be 15 hours. It could be 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The second thing I want to say is that I think with our traditional deployment cycle down, we're not going to Afghanistan anymore, and people have this mindset of, we don't have the every 2 to 4 year deployment cycle, so maybe we don't need as much volunteer support anymore. Mm-hmm. That's not true. The Guard is a very unique entity. I think we can all agree to that. Yeah. We have state deployments. We have fires. We have mudslides. We have training time. We have schools. There's all sorts of reasons that your soldier is not here. And we still need the volunteers to help support the families. Just because we're not on this traditional 2 to 4 year cycle any longer doesn't mean we don't need to continue with a strong volunteer base.
Yeah, no, I think that's all incredibly important. If you're interested in volunteering, we can definitely throw the information for the Joint Service Support in the notes. We can share, I think it's Lauren's contact information so that she can get in touch with you and provide you with some of that information. If you like the video, let us know. Give us a like, subscribe, and comment. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.